اجازه بدید این حرف آقای شبستری رو میخوان آقایون. آقای شبستری چیزی از آقای طاهری شنیدم که امام جمله‌ای درباره آقای خامنه‌ای گفتن. اگر آقایون مایلن من نقل کنم و الا
The film shows how Rafsanjani guided their choice.
بله. ما با امام مباحثه داشتیم. فردم ما گفتیم ما فردی رو نداریم الان که مطرح بکنیم تو جامعه، چون ما فرضمون بر مرجعیت بود و با همون مسائل بود. اما فرمودن چرا ندارید آقای خامنه‌ای.
The cleric who, according to Rafsanjani, had been chosen by the late Ayatollah, responded with a show of modesty.
ببینید من در بحث من به هر حال مخالفم.
موافق هستند قیام بفرمایید بشمارید.
The next day, Ayatollah Khomeini was buried. Soon after the funeral, Rafsanjani became president, number 2 in Iran's political hierarchy. America also had a new president.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
High on his agenda were the Americans still held hostage in Lebanon.
United States.
His predecessor had got into serious trouble, attempting to do a deal that became known as Iran-Contra.
We had no relations with Iran. We couldn't negotiate. We didn't want to negotiate for hostages anyway. And that led him to the notion of reaching out in a way to Iran with this subtle statement.
There are today Americans who are held against their will in foreign lands, and Americans who are unaccounted for. Assistance can be shown here and will be long remembered.
Then the president delivered a carefully crafted phrase.
Goodwill begets goodwill.
It was a signal. It was a gesture. You do something nice for us, and we'll do something nice for you.
Iran's new president appeared to be on a similar wavelength.
ایران این آمادگی رو داره با اون کشورهای از غرب که آمادگی داشته باشند که سیاست برخورد مساوی و بدون باجخواهی و توسعه طلبی و انحصار طلبی با اینها کار بکنه.
It looked like a moment of optimism. Then, hostage takers in Lebanon released a video.
Colonel Higgins, who was an American colonel, had been in the UN Observatory Force and had been taken, and there were pictures of him released hanging. And they were just dreadful pictures. It was a searing experience.
The president feared for the lives of the other hostages.
I think the world is familiar with our policy, but there will be nothing that will be done ever that will create a new incentive for taking somebody else hostage. But I feel the burden of going to every end possible to try to get the return of these Americans to their loved ones.
Un coup de téléphone de Monsieur le Président des États-Unis, George Bush père. Et alors il m'a dit sa préoccupation, son angoisse presque de la situation des otages.
We explained to him we couldn't pay, we were not prepared to negotiate, but we wanted help to get our hostages back.
Le président serait disposé à faire certaines concessions aux Iraniens, mais à condition que ça n'implique pas une négociation ou une intervention directe des États-Unis.
He said he had somebody that he used with Iran and with Hezbollah, and could do it very quietly and very subtly.
The Secretary General's troubleshooter, Gianni Pico, was sent to see President Rafsanjani. His mission was to get Rafsanjani to help America to get its hostages back. It meant asking him to take a big political risk.
It was my first encounter with the Rafsanjani president. I walked into this office together with Javad Zarif.
We wanted the meeting to remain private, so we decided not to have a translator.
I said to him, President Bush de facto asked to help in the release of the American hostages in Beirut, and that this help will not go unrewarded.
گفتم اولا ما نمیدونیم این گروگان‌هایی که میگن آمریکایی‌ها میگن هست در لبنان یا نه.
Rafsanjani was just testing the UN representative. He soon made his conditions clear.
اگر حسن نیتشون رو نشون بدن ما مطمئن بشیم اینا جدیان و اگر کاری از ما ساخته باشه ما به خاطر هم لبنان هم به خاطر مسائل انسانی این کار خواهیم کرد.
The president said if the United States expects our assistance, then it has to change its hostile policy towards Iran.
حرفی که داشتیم این است که در مسئله جنگ ایران و عراق تعیین متجاوز و خسارت‌ها بی‌طرفانه عمل بکنن.
Basically, that was it at that point.
Neither the US nor Iran was yet ready for reconciliation. Then the entire balance of power in the Middle East shifted. Saddam Hussein opened the way. When he seized Kuwait, America mobilized a coalition to throw him out. And after the war, American forces stayed on, for the first time within easy reach of Iran.
We believe the presence of foreign forces in the region are inherently destabilizing. Furthermore, we believe that the presence of foreign forces in the region, particularly those of the United States, have objectives which go beyond the liberation of Kuwait, and these are, in reality, sources of grave concern.
So helping to get the hostages released now became a priority for Iran.
دبیر کل سازمان ملل و همراهان آمدند. برای اینکه موفق بشیم باید امریکا حسن نیت داشته باشه. وعده‌های آمریکا که به ما میده حسن نیت آمریکا برای ما ثابت نیست، چون آمریکا در طول این 10 سال خیلی با ما بدرفتاری کرده و خصمانه عمل کرده.
Président Rafsanjani m'a rappelé que les États-Unis devaient de l'argent à l'Iran, produit de la vente qu'ils n'ont jamais reçu, des armes pour le gouvernement précédent, le gouvernement du Shah. Alors je lui ai dit que j'évoquerai cette question avec le président Bush quand je le rencontrerai.
Rafsanjani summoned the commander of the Revolutionary Guard.
آقای هاشمی به من گفت که چیکار میشه این کار؟ میشه کاری بکنیم یا نه؟ من یکی از فرماندهان سپاه را فرستادم لبنان. رفتن با بچهای حزب الله صحبت کردن. اونا به شدت مخالفت کردن.
The general decided to show Hezbollah where the power lay.
من اصرار کردم که تو تا اینا آزاد نشدن بمون اونجا. وقتی بچهای حزب الله دیدنشون خیلی اصرار میکنه، عده‌ای از آدمای تندشون شبانه با ساختمان برادر ما حمله کرده بودن، چند تا RPG زده بودن تو اتاقش که ایشون فرار کنه بیاد ایران. ولی ایشون مونده بود و با مسئولان حزب الله بالاخره مسئله رو تمام کرد.
ما يعني من يملك المال يملك السلطة. دولة بحجم إيران ينافسها أفراد لا يملكون شيئا، شيء طبيعي أن تغلبهم.
And here he is. What a moment. Coming down the steps with his father.
Over the next 2.5 months, one by one, the hostages were released.